Okay, we got the recording up and going, so let's get to work. Another weekend edition. Again, this is not trading advice. Anything you decide to trade is your own risk. The guys know the scoop already. So anyway, let's get this going. Take a look first. This week will be the end of a monthly candle, right? So, we don't expect too much change from what we're seeing here. Looking like we've pulled back, and starting to head back up. We'll have to wait till it closes. For next week, we'll do a full review. But for now, the indexes, at least on ES, we're looking at, I believe, what's going to be a shot to the top. Okay? Let's take a look at the weekly candle. We saw last week after the selling pressure, right, and an inverted hammer with a lower high again, we were pushed down, but we were able to totally recoup that. We turned it into a hammer candle, which is now opposing hammers, showing that the lows have been rejected, right? And likely that we're going to make a run through the top over here. Probably somewhere around here is going to be the target. There's one supply zone up here. We'll take a look at it in a minute. But for now, looking that we should see continued bullish action. We did get a little sell-off on Friday, but mostly in the morning because of that overnight move, and then we traced a little bit, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But for now, I think we're going to see continued strength in the equities this week. We should be seeing some new highs coming pretty soon. You can see up here that this is the level I'm talking about as far as supply is concerned on the ES daily chart, right? So we get a pushback into a little bounce from here. We did get a reaction off of the supply, but we made a higher low again. Okay, and this daily chart, is really clear that we're holding lows down here. Now we made another higher low, and looking like big move coming. Okay, so we had a little hammer candle, a little pause on some smaller time frame supply over here, right? On Friday, we pushed back. We were able to fight off of it, and now we're ready to just pop. Pretty sure we're going to see somewhere up here this week coming, into this higher zone, 2750 or so. So about 100 points. I think we're going to see ES moving up this week pretty strongly. Okay, let's go take a look at the 240 chart, and what we're looking at over here is a V bottom, right? So we've pushed down. It's a higher low again, remember, and we've just retraced back to the sell-off. We created a demand over here. So we may see a little push into that zone. I don't think it's going to happen. I actually think we're going to pop right out of this thing, right into this 2700 and change. And then, maybe then we'll get a little back test of this area around over here. And then we make that 2750 run that I'm talking about later in the week. So for, let's call it Monday, Tuesday, a push up into 2700, maybe a little pullback. Wednesday is FOMC day. Now we're going to get a rate announcement. Right now pricing in around 98% chance of no change whatsoever. So we shouldn't see a major reaction out of the FOMC numbers, but that there's always going to be volatility around then, so be careful. 2 o'clock on Wednesday, and Friday is NFP day, which is also a massive volatility spike. So be careful with those. Expect that by the end of the week, I think I'm pretty sure we're going to see a breakout of this daily wedge up into this 2750 range. So that's what we're looking at for now. Let's take a look on the lower time frames. For ES, we can see there's our little reversal. Right on Friday, we sold off early, and we ended up inside some demand back here, and then we rallied up and we created some new demand over here. Right, a couple of levels there. It's actually this one and then this one. So this is clearly going to hit up at least to here, and after we'll probably get a little pushback and then the move up again. So we're looking for rally up into some of the supply zones, a little pullback with another higher low, and then another higher high after that. So that's what I'm looking at for ES. I'll just pull up the 15-minute chart just to give you guys some zones to look at. Up here, you could see that on Friday we sold off. We ended up later in the day pulling back, and then we just wedged out pretty much for the whole day. You could see that this is like from 8 o'clock in the morning until pretty much the whole day we were stuck inside this little wedge over here. And there's some supply sitting up overhead on top of us up there. But again, all these are just going to create lower highs. We're dealing with higher time frame stuff, and ES is going to run for the top. Okay, so that's my ES speech. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. Otherwise, we're going to move on to NQ. Let me just pull up the list, see if anyone's got some questions there. Close that. Cool. Loic. Hey, bro. What's up, bro? How you doing?
Hey, Joe. How are you?
Good.
Can you go to ES Daily 2745? Yep. I just want to understand if you're actually using. I'm just trying to.
Yeah. So what happened over here? Yeah. I'll show you what I was looking at. So it's sort of like a little bit of a level on level over here.
Yeah.
So I was expecting something to happen here. You know, this is the zone is really just wrapping the dojis. This is the supply zone that I'm interested in. Right.
So one below, because there's a proximal line.
Yeah,
like
this is that we're going to break out of this. This was just like some resistance area over here I was going to look at, and we got a little pullback out of it, so I just threw a line on there to know that it's there.
Okay.
We already made a higher low here, so I don't think that's doing anything. This is going to take. We're going to take out this.
It's going to pop up.
And this is the level where the supply really is sitting. As you can see, that even in the lower zone, this wick here went up into this area to see it. You see that? So this is just wrap the dojis. That's the supply zone pretty much right up here. Okay.
Okay, so we can ignore the line at 2790.
Yeah, well, this is it's a lower time frame supplies. It's 2700. It's on the 15 chart. It's on the 60 chart. There's a supply already here on the little time frame. So it's on the daily chart. Don't worry about it. But it's there on the lower time frames. You'll see it. Okay.
Got it. Thanks.
No problem. Okay. Let's go on to NQ. All right. So weekly candles also showing us those imposing hammers, right, where we back tested in here, rejecting the lows. We made another higher low, higher low, higher low. So we're ready to make some higher highs now. That's it, right? This was a pullback off of an all-time high for NQ, right? All-time high up here. We sell off, we make a higher low, and we're ready to go. So this is really still in an uptrend, no problem there. We're heading back to the top, okay? Take a look here on the daily chart. So, yeah, we were talking about last Sunday, if you guys remember, someone had asked about this over here, and I was telling you that, you know, we were going to bounce out of this thing and just negate that whole thing, which is still a possibility. I mean, obviously it started already, that we're rallying out of this thing. And, you know, the supply up here is fresh above, you know, 68 and change, right? It's still here all the way up to almost 7,000 or so. I'm pretty sure that's where we're getting. You know, what happens up here in this area is still questionable. You know, right now for this week, you know, I'm saying, okay, we should see close to 7,000, somewhere up here. When we get there, then we have to start talking about, you know, this up here and maybe another setback. I don't know yet. We'll have to see what it looks like as we get up there. For now, I'm fairly certain that we're going to see, you know, the move up out of here. This little peak over here will be taken out, and we'll get above that. Once we get up into the 7,000 range, I'm going to get a little less bullish for now. I don't know we're going to see another all-time high just yet. On ESP, yeah, probably better chance than NQ right now, but we'll see what happens as we get up there. So still a big move, we know 300 or so for the week up into the 7,000 range. Let's go take a look on the little time frame. So there's our 240, there's our little V reversal. You'll see again that this is a higher low. We came back into this area, right? And we got pretty close to the supply, at least on the 240. We pushed back a little. We caught some demand down here on the 60. We'll look at it in a second. We're creating another higher low, and we should be able to take that out, get back up to here. All right, from there, we'll probably get a little back test, and then it's a shot up into, this is the zone that we're concerned with, right around over here. There's the supply. It's sitting right over here. Obviously, right above it, another one, but, you know, somewhere up here, we're going to have an issue. Okay, around 7,000 is where you know, we want to maybe trim shorts. Trim the longs, start taking profits. You know, that kind of stuff. We'll have to see what happens as we make our way up there. Okay? Somebody asked a question in the chat. I'll get to it in a second. Let's just work through the levels here. NQ on the 60, we're looking at also a little wedging pattern. Right, we had a pretty big sell-off early Friday. This was after hours. Right, that was Amazon earnings or something like that. And we took out this area over here, and then we just back tested into the demand underneath it, and we wedged out the rest of the day. Pretty much sat inside this wedge on Friday afternoon, and we again a higher low. This should break out to the upside again, and we should be able to retrace all this. So that's what we're looking for to happen on Monday. Let's take a look down here on the 15, and there's just a little bit of supply up right above us over here. You can see that zone. we're basing pretty much underneath. So we should be able to make our way through that because as we rally out of this area, so now we've got this whole base underneath us. We shouldn't really, even if we back test, we should be able to hold it and do this. You know what I mean? Shouldn't really do that. Something like that shouldn't happen. So I'm expecting that we're going to pop through the 6,700. Above it, it's air, right? Free ride up. So, you know, I say, you know, we're above the highs over here. You know, the overnight Thursday night highs, we should be above that tomorrow. Okay, so we're looking at for NQ. Somebody typed something in the chat. What was that? How about NQ zone 7072 on the daily? Let's take a look at that. 7072 on the daily. What is he looking at? Yeah, so that's up there. I mean, are we going to get there? I don't know. I guess I was talking about that before already. There is definitely supply. It's right here. I have it as 7072 to 21, right? And again, to get up there, we have to deal with, you know, some of this stuff. So once we clear the 6950, this range up here, you want to be careful with the longs after that. Expect that there's going to be resistance in this area. Are we eventually going to break through it later, you know, in June, something like that? Absolutely. Yeah, we'll get through all this crap. It's not happening next week. Okay? So that's what I'm looking at up here. And no problem, Chris. You're allowed to speak, by the way. All right, let's look at crude. So, you know, if you have an NQ question, go ahead. Let's look at crude. Crude, again, we're sitting still inside this monthly zone. The monthly candle is looking pretty bullish with a little base underneath us so far. The weekly candle, though, it looks like we're topping out. We got a doji up here at the top, which obviously is always a problem, right? Because very well could be, you know, beginning of something pulling back. What's holding up right now, crude, is geopolitical. It's not really, you know, fundamentals at all. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but let's just look at the chart. Okay, I see a double top on the daily. It's even more pronounced on the 240. I see this looks like a little bear flag to me. You know, could we get back up into the zone and pop the top? It's possible. If we get back into the zone, this will become a lower high, but right now that hasn't happened yet. Should it break down? Yeah, I mean, it's a bear flag with a double top. We should at least get back to here, which is what I was looking for last, yeah, I'll go back to, no, thank you in a minute. I was looking for this move back last week. It started, and then it stalled out. And really, it's stalling out because of what's going on with Iran, you know, that they want to pull back on the Iran deal, and now we're going to put some more sanctions, and, you know, they're seeing that the supply is going to dry up. It's so full of crap, it's not even a joke, because, you know, the U.S. just increased, again, you know, our production. We're actually, this past week, the highest daily production we've had ever in history. It's over 10.5 million barrels per day, almost 10.6. We're a couple of 100,000 barrels a day away from Russia, which is the biggest producer in the world. So, you know, all this OPEC talk and bullshit about cutting back their you know, their production is nonsense, because the more they cut back, the more we produce. So who gives a shit? You know what I mean? So the fundamentals are really saying price should be selling off. But you know what? There's still tension in the Middle East. There's stuff going on with the Iran stuff, and you know. So right now, I think it's more news-driven than fundamental-driven, and therefore we can only trade what the chart is saying. It's still an uptrend on the daily chart. I'm calling for a sell-off, but you know what? If we get back to this zone up here, I'm going to be very concerned. Okay, we should not be getting back here. We already have a lower high. We have another lower high. Okay, but we don't have any lower lows just yet. We need to break down into this thing to get this really pushed back. So for now, it's cautious shorts. Friday was just a chop fest on crude. It was ridiculous what was going on there. We haven't had one of those days in a really, really long time. There was only two decent trades, one long, one short, and just because they were the extremes on the zone. I mean, there's really nothing going on. I'll show it to you in a minute. But right now, this is supply up here on the 60 that was hit on Thursday. Right, this zone over here that was created back there, and then since then we just in this range. You can see we're just chopping around, boom, 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 doing nothing, not making higher highs, not making higher lows. We attempted to break out on the bottom over here and erase the lines. You'll see, right? We stopped out these guys over here with this move, and then we stopped out these guys over here with this move from here, and then we just came back in and we're just chopping around. There's nothing going on here. So crude needs to move out of this range for us to start to get really interested. Until then, it's just a chop fest. Okay. Take a look over here on the 15, and it's even worse. I mean, this is ridiculous, right? So you could see here on the 15 that there's our 15 supply. The 15 demand was actually adjusted slightly, right? It was originally just this. It which we talked about, I think it was on Wednesday or something like that. And then we peaked out. There's the stop out, and it just goes back in. It hits the supply on the other side. You could see we stop out all these moves over here. And we're just chopping around inside. So just stay tight, hang out. Don't do anything here until we break out of one of these zones up here. Below here, ton of air. Above here, not so much room. I mean, up here there's more supply. I'm leaning towards the short side, so I would like to take the shorts on rallies up into supply still. Even though the higher time frames are starting, still showing some bullish price action, I'm more inclined to believe that we're going to start selling off. Once they start finishing up with Iran and get that out of the way, the fundamentals will start to take over again. We just don't need all this crude that they're producing. So that's where I'm holding on crude. Somebody had a question on NQ, asked me to go back. Let me look at that. Okay, hold on. There he is. Hello. Who's that? Bhavesh?
Hey, Joe, can you hear me?
I got you. Can you hear me? Yes. What was your question?
Yeah, on crude oil, since dollar is going into supply, do you expect crude oil prices to push up higher?
So the dollar is going into supply. We'll get there in a second. But, yeah, of course, because crude is priced in dollars. If the dollar gets weaker, then the price should start to rally a little bit. It won't have a massive effect on crude, but, it will do something. But, yeah, again, we'll take a look as we get closer to, Wednesday's inventory numbers, Tuesday night, Wednesday. We'll see what the story is with the dollar, and we'll try to figure out what's going to happen with crude. Until we break out of one of the supply zones or demand zones, just pointed out on the little time frame, crude is stuck. It's not going anywhere, So I would rather trade something else for now. But, yeah, if the dollar starts to pull back a lot, which I'm not sure it is, but if it does, yeah, of course it affects crude. Okay. So let's go back. Who had a question about NQ before I move on one more time? Let me just take a look at that. Who had that NQ question? Should we open as a gap up on the 60 time frame? How do you play long? I have no idea if we're going to open gap up or not. Why should we gap up on the NQ? NQ 60. I don't know. Can't answer that question. Impossible to know how we're going to open. So, I don't like to guess. We'll see how it opens tonight. Okay. Next, let's go to gold. So last week I talked about gold getting crushed, and sure enough, fantastic. Right? We talked about the twins back here. There's the sell-off. We come right back into this little low over here. You can see it. We're coming into this area. Still a lot of room. I'm calling for this. It looks like we're going to touch the 200 moving average, 13 and change on the 240. So we got down below this range, and now we caught a little bit of demand. But what we're going to get is actually a lower high. You can see it here. There's the 240 chart, right? Drop base, drop base, drop. There's the rally into the supply zone, and now it's starting back. We should get another low coming out of this area. I don't think we break this supply zone. I think we're going to continue to turn over out of this area. This is just a little, back test after an extended push down, right? We started the week last week somewhere up here, 1330 something, and we ended at 13, whatever it is, 20, so 12, 15, 120, we were down here. So we were down like $25. So we get a little back test into supply, and then it rolls over. We should get another low coming very soon. Gold target for this week, 1304. Okay, that's what we're looking at. Let's take a look here at the 60. Create a little bit of demand, but clearly we're in a downtrend. There's no question about the trend over here. There's the most recent low, and we catch some demand back here, and we back test, and we're getting to the supply. You can see that it started to sell off. This demand should make a lower high for us again, and then just again a breakdown coming at some point this week. We're going to look for a chance to potentially join around this sell-off, maybe around Wednesday. Our Wednesday webinar, I think we should have some pretty nice trades that we can try to pick off on the FOMC volatility. This will probably be one of them, a gold short. Okay. Let's go. Anybody have any questions? Feel free. Okay. But there's a little 15 zones. I'll zoom out a little bit. So there's some supply up here, another little area up here. That is something up here. I don't think we're going to see these higher zones at all. More than likely, we're just selling off out of this. We'll make, hit some demand, make lower highs and lower lows, and start taking out the bottom down here. Okay. So that's gold. Let's take a look at net gas. I think we had a very, very nice sell-off on Friday. We were breaking out, and this was the back test into the gap that I'm talking about. After that, I'll be excited for the longs again if we can turn around one more time. We started breaking out, this was a beautiful green candle up here, breaking out of the range on the weekly chart. We're still holding the monthly demand level so far. And then we break up, and we had a rollover, so we pull gap into this area. We're almost to the rollover gap. This is the rollover gap. It's right here, right? It's 46.61, and we almost got there on Friday, but we ran out of time. So I'm pretty sure we're going to probably gap down tonight, either into or through this zone. We should start to see it hold at some point and then start to turn around. And once it does, and shows me that this is really going to rally out of here, I'm ready to go in for the swing again. So I've been very patient this week. I tried it once. I think I got a little T1 off. I got stopped out, and now it's time to wait for this to turn around, and then we will, get the long swing going again. You can see it here on the 60. Right, we pull back into this little area of demand. This is the rollover gap again over here. Likely we're going to fill it. There's some demand right underneath us, over here somewhere. And once that comes in, and if we turn around again, so maybe sometime around tomorrow morning, we'll look for an opportunity to potentially get back into the swing long again. Okay, just to go back to the higher time frame for a second. Again, the targets for this type of move is really nice. So if we do get the turnaround, I'm looking up here for potentially being one of the trades of the week, the long into nat gas, a turnaround somewhere over here with a target of 3. Okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, something like that. We'll see how that looks tomorrow. Again, after the gap is filled. Okay, Luik has a question, so we'll take his. Go ahead, man.
Joe, would you actually? I know that when you have level on level, you're only taking the lowest one. Can you go to the 60?
Mm-hmm.
But don't you think that we've got like a little doji, 2729 to 2740?
There is right here.
Yeah.
This thing. I agree. There's demand there. It's on the. I have it on the 15 chart down here. But yes, there is definitely demand there. And we're waiting for this whole area. I don't know where. It's the gap. Is it going to turn around from here? It could turn around in the gap. It could turn around right under. Once that's finished out of the way and it starts turning around, that's where we're going to get long. So just wait this out. Don't try to pick this off on the way down. You got to wait for it to turn over. This is a swing trade. You don't need to rush into it. Wait for you to get, a 15-minute higher low. That comes on the chart, then we can talk about getting long. Okay.
Okay, so that was my question. So you would look at 15. I was going to ask you, would you look at a 15 or a 5 minute low?
Yeah, we're looking for the 15-minute. We're going for a swing trade. You're talking about this thing. I agree with you. It's right there. It's where the supply was over here. We just have to pay attention that this is really just a rollover gap. I don't know if it's going to get through that. I don't know. And again, I'm not trading this on the way down. We're waiting for this to hit, rally up, give us a higher low, then we'll start the swing trade. Okay?
Got it. Super. Thanks.
Got it. Next. What's stolen? How you doing, Eddie? Your mic's on, Ed.
Oh, hi, Joe. I didn't know it was me.
Yeah, what's up?
We're turning around on a higher low on a 15-minute or a 5? Or
Yeah, 15. I just said 5. We're looking for the 15 because it's a swing trade. I want to give me a 15-minute higher low. Okay, when we get the 15 higher low for nat gas, that's when we're going to talk about getting into a swing. Okay?
Yep.
No problem. Next. Okay. Let's look at the dollar. So I forgot who asked about the dollar, but here we go. Last week we talked about the dollar breaking out, and fantastic. I love this. Look at this. We had like a 10-week range. Looks like we're coming right up into this supply area over here. We have it up on the daily chart, right? And we're getting up there. We get a little pushback. We'll look at it in a minute, but we built demand underneath us, so that's really nice. You can see on the monthly chart over here, we're sort of breaking up out of this demand zone over here. We're taking out prior month candle, right? We held the lows, made higher lows. We have room over here all the way back to like 93, 94 up here into the supply that's sitting over here. So, the dollar is looking pretty strong for now. Take a look over here with the breakout out of the range down here on the bottom with higher lows and now higher highs. The daily chart is flipped to an uptrend. Okay, we made the higher low here, and now we took out the pivot over here, made the higher high, and we built the demand zone. This is what I'm talking about. So even though we're coming up into the supply that you were talking about, which we absolutely are, and there's 200 moving average, you can see we already started selling off a little on Friday. We should get a back test and a higher low and a higher high. Okay? Should be coming, I think, all the way back to 93 at some point, which is where we broke out of this head and shoulders. Shoulder, head up here, and we break down right at like 93. See over there? So that's really the target for now. We're going to get a push up over here, and we'll get some resistance, but that's where it's trying to get to, up here, back to this test. So for now, there's still strength in the market for dollars. Again, we could see a little pullback early in the week, but again, we're going to, at some point, catch the bid and start to rally out of this thing. We should be seeing another higher high coming. Let's take a look over there. let's go look at the euro. Okay, so there's the euro. Okay, coming out of a flagging pattern on the monthly, but clearly like a triple top up here. You see that at like 126, 3 candles in a row, wicks. And now we get the first lower high, and we're starting to close. If we close underneath the low from last week, we're heading back down into this area. We already got down to the 121 that I've been talking about for I don't know how many weeks already, that we should be pulling back into that. We see that this week. And we start to get a reaction out of it. Okay, over here, the reaction is so far pretty decent, and there's still a little bit of room above us. So we should see a little bit of a continuation up, a confirmation of the break. This is a breakout area. You see all this basing over here, and we break out of it right around over here. You can see where all the lows were prior inside the area. So we catch the demand, which is sitting over here, by the way. See, prior highs. Right? We break through those. Now we push back. We're testing that. We should see something like this. Okay, that's what we're looking for. And obviously that will take some time, but that's what we're looking at. The next test is at 1200. Okay, so we should get a rally early in the week and then a turnover coming after that. So let's take a look down at lower time frames. There we go. We started rallying on Friday after strong sell-off this week. I mean, massive sell-off. All right, and then we rallied back up. You can see we still have air. Take a look to the left. There's nothing here until we really get back to like up here. That's where the prior lows are sitting. We've tested in their area one time, so we might get a little bit above that wick slightly, or maybe not. We'll find out. But something like this is what we're looking for. Another lower high coming after that. Okay, so right now I wouldn't be getting short in this area. There's just nothing above us to stop the rally, right? But once we get up into that area of the supply, so now we can talk about potentially getting short. So here is the 60, and that's why I'm saying we don't want to be short right here, because you can see we just pretty much on Friday at the end of the day cleared the supply zone. It was sitting over here, right? We tested it, we made a new low, and then we just right over here you could see hit the supply, and then push back, made a higher low, come back to the zone pops, and look at the air. We don't want to be short over here because it can get up here in a blink. And if it does, that's where you want to start talking about getting short. You see all the lows that were sitting over here before, and we touch it one time, we make new lows. So we rally through this area. There's a short sitting over here, clearly. And then there's the next one after that in case that doesn't hold. It's somewhere up here. So I would be taking this one first, 1225 and change. It's not a giant zone, and we're looking for shorts. So if you're going to play the long, you have to understand that it's counter trend. You have to be careful. Let's go look at this. There might be supply sitting right over here. I'm not sure. We'll look at it. But that's about it for as far as euros. If we push up into that zone up there, I'm ready with a short for sure. Okay, yeah, so even on the 15, there's nothing there. You can see that. The supply is really above, higher. So no way to take any shorts in here. The minute we pop out of this zone, this is a decent breakout trade to the upside. No problem doing that. Even though it's a counter trend trade, there's just so much freaking room up here. We should get all the way back to this thing, retrace this, move down. Or at least, down into this area where we're going to test the breakout of the prior lows. So, if you take a breakout trade and you aim for 12220, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, that's 100 ticks or so. So, decent money. Okay, that's what we're looking at over here. Someone had a question. Do you look for fresh and authentic zones? Yeah, so that's the question. That's not for this webinar, but yeah, obviously. And my definition of authentic and fresh is not what you think it is. So on Wednesday when we have a live trading session, I'll address that question. You can ask me again. Okay. Next. JY. Let's go. So first of all, on the monthly chart, look what we're seeing over here. Right, we have the breakout and then the false fake out, really, because we're coming back into the range. You know what happens there. For my rules, we should be breaking out the opposite end. This is a false breakout, and now we're pushing back. This is very bearish on the weekly chart. Oh, we have the engulfing back here, and then we have 5 weeks in a row of red candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks row of red candles for JY, and we're still not into the real demand. It's still lower down. So what are we going to see? Well, we should start to see a pushback into this supply over here in the daily, and then another lower low coming. Okay, so you could see it down here, and that makes sense because the index start rallying again. So we'll see maybe a little more back test up here. Right, there's the supply sitting on the 240 chart. Highly doubt we're getting through this up here. This is just too much air up here. There's no reason that JY should get all the way back up there. I doubt it's going to happen. There might be something over here on a 60. We'll have to take a look, slightly above the pivot over here, but somewhere right above this area or in this area, we'll see a turn back, and we should be breaking the bottom after that. Clear downtrend on the 240, no question about it. No longs at all, okay? At least on this time frame. On the 60, we'll have to see. It doesn't look like there's any room if you ask me to take a long. I'm not there yet, but we'll take a look. Yeah, there's nothing in the way. There's just no reason to take longs over here, okay? You can see that we built a little bottom down here off some demand from prior demand back here. There was the supply. So far, we just pierced at a dot. We pull back. This level will pop, and we'll end up somewhere over here. But this is the one that I was just talking about, the 240, and that's it. Really, that's the end of the run. We should be turning over out of that area and then breaking down. So shorts, short the rallies in JY. Okay, if we get up over here someplace, like this is a type of level where on FOMC news, I'll put an order sitting inside over here. Okay, just because we'll be, depending again where we are, assuming that tomorrow, let's say, was FOMC, I would have a short sitting over here. Clear downtrend. We expect, some volatility. They'll stop out all the people that are sitting over here. Nice small little zone, a little bit of risk. Put a stop in here. Give yourself 10, 12 ticks. Try to get your stop above this candle up here, and that's it, baby. That's the trade. Well, again, we can't talk about that yet. We'll have to see what it looks like on Wednesday. But that's what I'm looking for: a whole big bottom down here, clear downtrend, and then a bunch of air. So it just takes out all this crap. We stop over here, and then we end up breaking the bottom after that. So that's always something to keep in mind. That's what we're looking at for JY. Little time frame, what do we got going on over here? So yeah, there's some supply just above us over here. You can see we actually got close to the first one up here. All these little basing candles back here. All right, yeah, pretty close. This, no doubt that this is actually going to break up into this area. There's clear still supply sitting over here. That looks pretty good. There's actually another smaller one over here, and then this thing. That's the one I was just pointing at before. It looks really nice. All right, so we want to be shorting the rallies into any of these supply zones up here on JY. I probably would not short this one. No, it's just too close to current price. But somewhere up, up here someplace looks much better. Okay. JY, that's done. Let's move on. If anyone has a question, feel free. And let's go look at the Aussie. So we had a really nice sell-off in Aussie this week. Okay. As per our lower high twins we talked about last week, we did break down into the air. We got almost down to the bottom over here, hitting daily demand and then printing this almost engulfing failed hammer type stuff on the daily chart. But again, this is just shaking out some of the oversold stuff. We landed in daily demand outside the Bollinger Bands after a 5 or 6 day sell-off, right? There's like hook reversal stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red candles, and then boom, the green. So are we going to get additional rally? Sure we are. With this level over here, that's not going to even hold. I didn't even draw it. We're heading right over here, right? Which is basically the doji on the daily chart. We're going to back test to this area, and then we should collapse after that. Okay, we should push up into there and break down. We should see, remember this is a double top on the weekly chart. Double top rules. The middle should break, and we go back to the point of origin where the double top started from. This is the point of origin. We rallied up. Here's the middle. There's the double top. We should be getting back to here. So, yeah, we got some resistance in this area, which is where we got to now. We'll push up into some supply, and then we'll roll over and break the bottom. That's what we're looking for. So short the rallies in Aussie dollar. Okay? There's our little 60 chart. Looks like we got through my little demand zone somewhere from back in history back there. We're coming into this supply. Unlikely that's the one that's going to do it. Somewhere up here, that's where we're looking at. That doji on the daily chart is this thing over here. On the 240, the 60, there's a supply a little bit before it. We do have Aussie rate decision this week. What day was it? I forgot. I think it's Monday night. Hold on. Let me double check. We're going to have an interest rate decision for Aussie this week. Let me look at my calendar. I think it's Monday night. Sec. Might be Tuesday. I'm checking. Hold on. Aussie. Yes. It is Tuesday morning early, Monday night, 12:30 p.m. is Aussie interest rates announcement, and then they have a press conference after that. So that's probably going to give us some volatility. So be careful with that Monday night, 12:30 Eastern time. AM, 12:30 a.m. Eastern time. So, we'll see what this looks like on Monday. Potentially a chance to catch the shorts up here someplace. Okay? Keep that in mind. Monday is also Malik has a question. Okay. Tuesday, I think. Tuesday is a European holiday, it looks like. That's Labor Day for them. Yes, sir.
So based on interest rate decision, would you put a limit order at 76.47 on the 60?
Yes. Again, I have to see what I would. It depends on what the chart looks like on Monday. I don't know what's going to happen yet over here. You know what I mean? We have to wait and see what comes on Monday. If today was Monday and this is where we closed Monday and this is where the level is sitting before the rate decision, I would put a supply and order in here. I would. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
So sort of, yep. Okay. Okay. All right. Next. Okay. That was our Aussie. Let's take a look at the little time frame. Do I have any zones down there that we have to deal with? Let's zoom out a little bit. So that's some demand. Pretty much the same levels. Yes, this looks really good, Malik. I like it even better than the 47. Right up here, right around this area. Try and get your stop above 61. Yeah. Okay. Fine. That's Aussie. Let's take a look at pounds. They got clocked this week, which we had, again, called for. Last week's webinar was a knockout. It was perfect. I don't think I was wrong on anything. But here we go. For last week, we got these engulfing. Remember about that? We're breaking down, clearly heading back to this breakout area over here at least. We got pretty close already. From a weekly perspective, the monthly perspective, we tagged the 50 moving average up there. It looks like, again, this little breakout area back here hasn't been tested, so we're going to do something like this. You know what I mean? And it looks like right now the pounds got pounded. Take a look here on the daily. We landed up back to this little range. This is also a little bit of a double top. Yeah, it got slightly above, very, very, very little bit. And we just destroyed this demand zone over here. All right, and just one little pause and then bang. Total sell-off. So what we should see out of this demand zone, which is the one that actually, made that high up there, is a little back test into the supply over here, and then a breakdown. I think we're heading back to this area. There's a lot of convergence right at this point. This was the wedge. See this? There's two trend lines I've got going on over here. They're meeting right at the intersection of this demand zone. See this? So this level here should do something like this. We end up right back over here. It's also the 200 moving average on the daily chart. It's a pretty strong bounce down or sell-off over here. We stretch the bands a little bit. So we should get a snapback, little test, and then we take it out. So I think we're going to see a little bounce out of this level. And again, maybe later in the week we roll over from pounds and start to, start to sell off. And that makes sense. Again, the dollar's in supply. We should see a little bit of a pullback on the dollar, and then, it should turn around and head back the other way again. So I would say a little bit, yeah, see all the air? No, for now, right now I know for sure that's what's going to happen. So here's our demand back here. It looks like we just missed it. Rallied up, pushed down. Here's the higher low. This is just a stop out at the end of the day. But there is just too much air over here to be ignored. Okay, so we don't want to be short right now. We should see a back test, understanding that this is the daily demand zone that I just pointed out. And looking at all this air, we see a back test into this supply zone. Maybe it's this zone. There's definitely something here. This one probably doesn't hold. We'll take a look at it on the 15 now. But up here, someplace, this zone on the 15 has this moving average inside the zone. We'll look at it right now, and that's where I think we should be seeing the next turnover and push down. So there's early rally early in the week for the pound. And then it's a sell-off. I would say right here is a fantastic short opportunity right here. Okay, there's the first level. We got pretty close. We sell off. We come back. It might turn over from here. I don't know. But if we do break through this supply, there's just too much air over here. Right? There's nothing here on the 15-minute chart. Just a straight shot. This is where you want to start the shorts after that. Okay, so that's the pounds what we're looking for. Rubbish. Okay, hold on. Yes, question.
Joe.
Go ahead.
Do you like your moving average to line up inside your supply zone or demand?
Well, it's just an odds and answer for me. If it does, it does. It doesn't have to, but when it does, you have to pay attention to that.
Okay, got it.
Okay, next. Canadian. So what do we do? Well, we sold off pretty harshly this week. We landed in weekly demand, rally-based rally, and we started to bounce back a little bit. We had, you could see a lower high in the daily, and what we did was, right, you see this little inverted head and shoulders over here that we had on the daily chart. We break out of that. We come back and we're testing the demand right now. Right, it's looking so far like a bear flag, and we'll know what's going to happen here if this level breaks. Right, if it doesn't break, there's just no way to know right now. It's just going sideways. Right, there's the lows. It's got a double bottom. We came back to where we came back from, and now anything can happen. We can break out and hit this supply, or we could just break the bottom. I don't know yet. Okay, so for now, there's no trade for Canadian. I would be very interested in shorting over here. No problem at all. I like that trade. The weekly is in a downtrend. And we just rallied up into supply. So, we just get a little something like this and then break down. Look at all the air over here on the monthly chart, right? Look at the air under here. So, yeah, if we pop out of this zone, no problem shorting up here. No problem at all. If we roll over out of here, then the short might be a little bit harder to catch. But either way, it looks to me like we want to be Canadian short. Look over here on the 60. There's the supply zone that we just don't know what's going to happen here. Right? There's our little double bottom. We're back to where it started from, and now it's anybody's guess. Do we roll over again? All right, or do we pop up out of that and we start, coming into some of these supply zones over here? This is like there's like 3 levels over here. I just ignored the middle one for now, but I already have it on the higher time frames. But, this whole area is where the supply is sitting. It's in this range, somewhere up here. Okay, and what happens right here then will tell us. So we'll have to wait for this. On Monday, we'll have a clear picture of what's supposed to happen. So for now, there's just nothing. I know I want to be short. I just don't know where yet. You know what I mean? Okay, that's for Canadian. Copper, a rough day for copper on Friday. And, we were looking for a chance to break out of this thing over here. The weekly candle just destroyed that. It's over. I'm pretty sure we're going to make a new low now at this point. We were banging off this demand over here. We had a chance to rally back up, and now we're getting a doji. All right, but you could see where the trend line was. We couldn't even get back there this time, back to the trend line that we've already totally retraced all of last week. So you could see the lower high coming in over here, and, maybe after we get back down under here, we'll get higher. But for now, there's continued weakness. We took out this level. Here, we hit the demand, and then we rallied up, made a lower high, so we came back after that and took it out. So, yeah, we got a bunch oversold. We stretched the bands. We landed in some garbage over here. So on a smaller time frame, you might see a little pop, back over here, but at the end of the day, we're taking this out. Pretty sure we're going to see a little bit lower and a test back under to this 302 and change area again. So I don't want to really be long anymore. We had a really nice opportunity up here on the daily to try and break through this zone. We were making these higher highs, higher lows. You can see that over here. It was a channel, but we were getting there, and we were back all the way up here with an opportunity to break into the air, and then said, so we're back in demand on the 60. I'll show it to you now, and then what happens over here will really determine. I think we're actually going to break down, but again, I don't know for sure. It could be something like this. Right? It's just a little tough to call. Even this would put us somewhere into the 302 area that I'm talking about, right? This little, and we get like an inverted head and shoulders and then rally. It's a tough call. It's just very messy over here. I think we still see a little bit more weakness before the bounce comes. So right now, rally up into supply. There's a very nice little doji supply right there. I don't think we're getting all the way back here. There's a smaller zone over here on the 15, which we'll point out. This is 60 zone. But you can see that, it's just hanging in the air. It's banging against this crap over here. And, it can pop up and pop down and just chop people to death. So be careful here. Wait for a clean entry. I don't see one just yet. Let's look at the 15. And there it is. Yes. Okay. So this zone will definitely get hit. Will it break? Don't know. This one I like a lot better. 3.1 looks like a chance to short. Above that, obviously too much air. We don't know anything. But over here, no problem. Something like that, and we start breaking down. So I would leave this one alone. Copper is notorious on Sunday night, so be careful. All right, when it opens, watch out around 8 o'clock. Gets very volatile. And then we'll see what happens over here in this area. I still want to be short for now, aiming for 3.02. Okay. That is copper. Let's look at soy. This is really the trade of the week as far as I'm concerned. This is the one that I'm been talking about for a little while. It finally showed itself with the strength on Friday. I mean, that was just beautiful, beautiful. And now we're ready to get long. Okay, so we back tested over here, the breakout. And then last week, right, we rallied back into this area. This looked really horrible over here. This red candle, right, was engulfing and closing out underneath. Friday just took care of it for us over here, right? We did have rollover this week, but a massive, massive move up with a massive engulfing candle on Friday, wiping out the bottom, no question. And what we want to see now is a small time frame back test to over here. That's the entry for the long swing, and now we're talking about breaking through this area on the monthly chart. Okay? That's the trade we've been waiting for. So it's set up perfect for us, and that's the one that I'm going to really try and catch this week. For me, this is the trade of the week as far as I'm concerned. Right over here, take a look on the 60 chart. You see the little doji demand that was formed on Friday right over here. That's the spot. That's where we want to catch this sucker. We've got supply right here. We should see some kind of little back test into this area, and that's the long. Okay, don't worry about anything up here. Once we create that, this is, you see the low, the bottom that was sitting under here, all this. Right, all this, we break out, we back test it, make sure it was a valid breakout, and then we're off to the races. This thing's going through the top, no questions, no questions. All this is higher lows, you can see it, all higher lows, and we're ready to go. So soy long is definitely the best trade I've seen the whole week so far, and the one that's set up is clear for us where the location of the trade is as well. So that's the one I'm trying to get. You can see it on the 15. It looks fantastic. I mean, anywhere over here is what we're looking for. There's a little breakout area, right? There was the prior highs. We break through it. We bang on top of them. This is demand all the way. Absolutely. Anywhere over here. Try and get your stops under 43 and get in this long thing and just let it go. Okay? Take off a risk and leave it alone. And I'm thinking about 2 weeks or so, we'll be 100 points higher on soy. Okay? That's that. Anybody have a question, feel free. I'm moving on to the bonds, which gave us a really nice bounce this week. I think we're done for now. As far as the selling is concerned, we're going to see back testing now. Remember that, you know, when the bonds are selling off, right, the interest rates are going up. Well, we got pretty low down there on this week, and then we have a massive weekly hammer candle. Take a look, right? Huge. And you'll see in a minute as I walk you through it, it's really powerful. First of all, we got underneath all the basing. We hit demand over here. We get a pair of twins on the daily, and then we just crush right back into the boom, continuation. We destroy these supply zones over here. Boom, 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 right back to this. There is no higher low here yet. You see this? Rally off the bottom. So what I think we're watching is the beginning of a move back to here. Okay? So that means there's going to be a split trade sitting right here on the back test. We're going to create a higher low right on the doji. Notice where it is. Is this over here? You should see something like this. There's the inverse forming for us, and then move up. Bang. So that's where the long is sitting. And the back test into 142 area is a long for bonds. Okay. Take a look over here. This is our 60 chart. Okay. And this is our bottom. And you can see that we just chop through the supply. There's the area that's sitting up here. We should hit that and then back test to right over here. Okay, I'm going to just erase this and put some things on the chart. Okay, follow my X's. X, X. Here's our bottom. See this? That has to come out right over here. So we should see this, and that's the entry for the long. Guess what? Right on the 50 moving average. You see it? 142. Boom. That's where we're looking. There's the man sitting right there. So this area right here, I mean, I draw it a little bit lower. It's level on level. But somewhere right in here will be a long swing entry with an opportunity to retrace all the way back up here. It's a huge move for bonds. Okay, so that's probably going to develop this week. Exactly where the entry is not clear yet. We'll have to see what it's looking like on the way down. But that's another really nice looking trade that will potentially get us into something really nice. And you could see that this whole thing over here is missing, right? It's supposed to come out on this side. And then we'll be able to say, okay, we've got all the symmetry going, and we're ready to start retracing all this sell-off will come out up here on this side. Okay, and that's what we're looking for this week. Anybody have a question, feel free. This Wednesday is a webinar and trading session. So I'll see you guys then. Remember, there's a couple of things going on this week. Don't forget about the FOMC on Wednesday. I told you there's a rate decision for Aussie on Monday night, and then Friday is going to be NFP, so that's going to be big. So quick recap. We're looking for the equities to rally. Crude, we're still stuck in some range over here. Gold, we said that we were looking for a chance at 1,300, rolling over out of this level and a push down in the change. Nat gas, we're waiting for the gap to fill, and then we're going to get long. The euro, we're looking for a little bit of a rally early in the week, and then a back test and roll over and making new lows. The yen, similar idea, a little push up and then selling off again. The Aussie, we said the same thing. Pounds, we said the same thing. All right, so it's like the dollar is in that supply zone. It should pulling back. On other currencies will rally a little bit. Maybe Monday, Tuesday, we ended the rally, and then it just rolls over out of there. Stay tuned to the tweets. I'll let you guys know when things are turning around. Other than that, the best trade I see the whole week is really the bonds, the soy. That one is really clear. Okay. If anybody has a question, go ahead and ask. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Anybody? Last chance. Okay. Everyone have a great day. Enjoy yourself. Trade safe. Trade smart. I'll see you guys Wednesday. Ciao.